As a Christian, it's becoming increasingly difficult to trust the mainstream media. The reasons for this distrust are multifaceted and rooted in the fundamental values of Christianity. Firstly, the mainstream media often promotes a secular and humanistic worldview that is in direct conflict with Christian teachings. The media's emphasis on individualism, self-reliance, and moral relativism undermines the biblical principles of humility, obedience, and absolute moral standards. Moreover, the mainstream media has a tendency to distort and manipulate information to fit their own agendas and biases. This is particularly evident in their coverage of Christian-related news and issues. For instance, when reporting on Christian controversies or scandals, the media often sensationalizes and exaggerates the story, while downplaying or ignoring the positive contributions and achievements of Christians. This selective and biased reporting creates a skewed public perception of Christianity, perpetuating negative stereotypes and reinforcing misconceptions about the faith. Another reason Christians cannot trust the mainstream media is their consistent dismissal and ridicule of biblical values and principles. The media often portrays Christianity as outdated, intolerant, and bigoted, while promoting alternative lifestyles and ideologies as progressive and enlightened. This not only undermines the authority of Scripture, but also creates a cultural narrative that is hostile to Christian beliefs and practices. By marginalizing and mocking Christianity, the mainstream media contributes to society that is increasingly intolerant of Christian expression and values. The mainstream media's bias against Christianity is also reflected in their coverage of social and political issues. When reporting on topics such as abortion, same-sex marriage, and religious freedom, the media often adopts a liberal and secular perspective, which is at odds with Christian teachings. They rarely provide balanced and nuanced coverage of these issues, instead promoting a one-sided and partisan agenda that ignores the legitimate concerns and perspectives of Christians. This lack of balance and fairness in reporting creates a sense of disillusionment and mistrust among Christians, who feel that their voices and values are being suppressed or misrepresented. Furthermore, the mainstream media's obsession with controversy and ratings often leads them to prioritize sensationalism over substance. They frequently spotlight Christian leaders or organizations that are embroiled in controversy or scandal, while ignoring the countless stories of Christian ministries and individuals who are making a positive impact in their communities. This distorted focus on negativity and controversy creates a false narrative about Christianity, reinforcing the public's perception that the faith is flawed, hypocritical, and irrelevant. In addition, the mainstream media's increasing reliance on technology and social media platforms has created new challenges for Christians. The proliferation of fake news, propaganda, and disinformation has made it difficult for Christians to discern truth from falsehood and to navigate the complex and ever-changing media landscape. The media's amplification of fringe voices and extremist ideologies has also created a culture of outrage and division, which can be damaging to Christian witness and evangelism. Finally, as a Christian, it's essential to recognize that the mainstream media is not a neutral or objective entity. It is shaped by the cultural, economic, and political forces that drive our society, and its ultimate goal is often to shape public opinion and influence cultural narratives. Christians must be aware of these underlying dynamics and approach the mainstream media with a critical and discerning eye. By doing so, they can avoid being deceived by the media's biases and agendas, and instead, seek out alternative sources of information and perspectives that align with their faith and values. In conclusion, as a Christian, it's clear that the mainstream media cannot be trusted to provide accurate, balanced, and fair representation of Christian values and issues. The media's secular and humanistic worldview, biased reporting, and dismissal of biblical principles create a perfect storm of distrust and disillusionment among Christians. By recognizing these challenges and limitations, Christians can develop a more discerning and critical approach to the mainstream media, seeking out alternative sources of information and perspectives that align with their faith and values. Ultimately, this will enable them to navigate the complex media landscape with confidence and faith, unswayed by the distortions and biases of the mainstream media.